My name is Jessica. I'm here with Beta Virtual Assistants. I'm here to talk about crypto and taxes and investing and all that sort of thing. I really wanted to talk about today because I have not found time to do this, but we had a challenge last week where we had people that I was teaching how to use their blockchain wallet. And we talked all about how to be safe with it, when to worry, when to not. We talked about all the different buttons when you're actually placing trades and doing things. And we talked about how to read the transactions that took place in your wallet when you go to the blockchain, and how to trace scammers, and when to recognize, how to recognize junk coins, and all this sort of thing. And one of the things that came up, of course, because I'm really big on educating people about how to do their taxes and how to track their portfolios. But one of the things that came up is this guy who is one of those people who believes that taxes are voluntary. And he's actually given me several really interesting websites to read. And I haven't quite had time to comprehend what the websites say, but I see where he's coming from. And it's like, okay, I agree to respect your opinion. And I'm going to work on educating people how to do their taxes right if they're going to play by that game, and you play your game and follow your gurus and teachers. But one of the things so I'm obviously not going to help him with his taxes because he doesn't want to report taxes. So why would he need my services? But what came up is that you can also use the software that we like to use for tracking your portfolio. And tracking your portfolio, I think, is really important whether you do taxes or not, because you want to know how you're doing. What you measure is what improves, right? So, right now, I have been, like, for instance, if you want to lose weight and you're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, you don't know how much you're sleeping, you don't know how much you're exercising, you don't know how much water you're drinking, you don't know how much food you're eating and what kinds of food or anything. And guess what? Like, nothing happens. Nothing is going to, and you're not even tracking how your weight is changing from day to day or week to week or anything like that. Like, nothing changes. And if you change something, you don't know if that's what worked. But if you run yourself like more of a science experiment and you say, okay, for this next week, I'm going to get so many hours of sleep. I'm going to do so much of this kind of exercise on these days, and I'm going to drink so much water, and then I'm going to not change my food at all. But just by doing that, does that make a difference? And you won't know unless you track, right? So you have to track, where did you start the week and where did you end the week, and what things did you do, and what successes you had, and maybe what things you learned. Like, maybe you hate a certain kind of food that everybody says is really great for weight loss. So it's the same thing with your investing, that you can throw spaghetti at the wall, and I have done this. Like, you just buy everything. You subscribe to all these newsletters, and all the newsletters say, oh yeah, this is great, this is great, this is great, and you have this list of stuff. And of course, newsletters, they're putting out new recommendations every week, every month, because that is their business model. Like, they need to suggest that you buy something. They don't make any money if they every month they say, well, the stock market's not doing great this month, so we thought, don't buy anything. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. They're going to find something to recommend. And they're going to write it up in a way that you're like, oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I think I want to invest in that. So, so if you do your investing where you just like spatter the wall with all your spaghetti strands trying to get one to stick, right? And hopefully you make money. So a long time ago, I started making my spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. But just a simple list of, I bought this stock from this newsletter, and here's how it did, right? By the time I got rid of it, I either made money or I didn't. And several of the newsletters that I followed, they were sometimes more active trading. Um, they might have been trading options, or I was following a futures newsletter for a little while. Um, so you've got, if you're tracking, if you can say, oh, I invested in these stocks for this reason, then if they succeed, or if they really, really don't succeed, then you can be like, I don't know if I really want to keep up paying for that subscription because it gave me bad advice. Or, maybe that is the only subscription I want to keep because all the other ones gave me bad advice. So, and again, you can't tell this if you aren't following what you're doing. So that's why so many people recommend keeping journal or a log of what you're doing. And I have started doing this again this year. I've been following two different gurus at the moment. And one has this particular strategy. It's very interesting. It's playing with zero dated options on the S&P. And I've been writing down every day that I place a trade. I'm like, I placed this trade because of this reason, and then here's what happens, and the market did this, and then I freaked out and I closed it early, and if I had held on, it would have been fine. Or, I didn't close it early, even though it looked like it was going badly, and then I lost all my money, that kind of thing. So, because I can see, and this class in particular started out with a tracking sheet that is automatically figured, so it'll graph it for you. So it's really nice. You just like fill in your numbers, and then you have this little graph showing that your money is going up, ideally. Mine has not quite been going up. It's been going up and then going down and then going up, and it's been very frustrating because it's like every time I take a step forward, I feel like I take another step back, which is very frustrating. But the other one that I have done is I did purchase this options course so that I could teach my kids how to do options trading, because it's not free money, but it's almost as good as free money. It like within certain parameters. And this class really structures it in a way that like you can learn how to do it safely, without losing too much money, hopefully. And I totally recommend this class. But in other words, I've been placing trades for that class and really coming up with my strategy there. And for that, I'm tracking how does it do by the end of the week, right? So am I really getting the 1% a week that they are promising, or is something else wrong? And of course, I wouldn't know if I didn't track. Which brings me back to crypto. So if you're doing crypto investing, you really want to track how your investments are doing. And the easiest way to do that is to use a tracking software. And the one that we use is actually, there's a link in the comments. It's called CoinTracking. Yeah, we use the CoinTracking mostly because we help people with their taxes. And obviously you get everything into CoinTracking. It tells you where the problems are. You reconcile and you fix the problems, and then you have your stuff in there. You push a button and you run your tax reports, and that's terrific. But what happens if you're not interested in reporting taxes? What happens if you are a digital nomad and you have no country that you are calling home right now, and therefore you're not paying income taxes to anybody? We do have some friends like that, and they still use the software because they want to see how they're doing and they want to track what they're doing, and which is great. But then on top of that, there's the complexity of people who might be paranoid about, okay, because I don't know if you've heard this, but in Coinbase and a couple of the other exchanges have been sent John Doe, I think it's called John Doe summons or something like that, where the government will say, okay, we know somebody has an account in your exchange, and because you've done your KYC, which you have to do the know your customer stuff. And if you fill out your KYC to trade in an exchange, which most of the time you have to do, especially with the centralized exchanges, because they don't want anyone accusing them of allowing terrorists to trade in their exchanges. They don't want anyone associated with terrorist groups or, anything like that. So they want to vet you. They want to know where you live. They want to know how much you make. They want to know, your address, that sort of thing. And of course, once you've given them that information, then they can go, okay, cool. We see that, this is the scary thing, is the government, like, people don't report their taxes. But if you've been KYC'd by an exchange and you're sending hundreds of thousands of dollars in gains to that exchange, at the end of the day, the government can go send a John Doe summons, I think it's called. I might be remembering the name wrong, but it's something like that. They send it to the exchange and they say, we see this customer is bringing in a whole bunch of money. We want to know who this customer is and where the money's coming from, basically. And so, and I think the way they did it in the article I saw, the headline or whatever, was that they said, hand over your information on everybody who has more than, such and such number of transactions or such and such value or whatever, because they want to see that those people are reporting their gains and their taxes. Because guess what? Governments need money, and the way that they have figured out how to get money, one of the best ways is to collect taxes from people. But it is sort of a voluntary system in that if you don't report taxes, they're not going to collect anything from you. They want to enforce the voluntariness of it, and if you aren't reporting, they want to come after you, right? Okay. So, if you are worried about this, if you're in a centralized exchange, the key is you have to get off the centralized exchanges and you have to figure out a way to get your funds in and out of crypto land without using a centralized exchange so that you don't trigger anything, right? So, they can't do a KYC on you because they can't go in and see your records and ask you questions because you're not there, right? So, what happens if you want to track your software, you want to track your portfolio, but you really are one of those people who's really worried about the government coming after them? Maybe you don't want to report taxes, and maybe you don't want to be found if you're not reporting taxes and everything. So, can you imagine signing up for a software that, and then putting all of your information in there, and then la di da, hello government, here's all my information, haha. So now the government can go to the software company and say, hand over your records on this person because we see they have such and such net value and assets, and you're like, yeah. So there might be people out there who are worried about this. And to them, I had this idea, which I tried to explain to this guy, that maybe he didn't need our tax services, but he still could access the software and use it in a way that made it less questionable. Anyways, safe in that it's not keeping his data in the software. So the way you do that, you sign up for an account, you get all your data in. Yes, your data is in there for the time that it takes to get the data in, right? But you get the data in, and then what you do is you export that report. You export everything, and then you wipe the account. So the account is empty. You disconnect your APIs or your blockchain addresses or whatever. You just go through and you just, if you're going to be that worried about it, personally, I am not terribly worried about it because this company is based in Germany. So, it's not in the United States. So the chances of the United States going to Germany and particularly targeting my account and saying, I want, Jessica's records, I'm not terribly worried about that. But if you are a person who's sitting on a lot of money and you don't want anybody to know, but you do want to track your stuff. So that is another way you could do it, is you could use CoinTracking, import your data, connect your APIs, whatever. And then the nice thing about CoinTracking is once the data is inside, you can see what you did. Instead of what the blockchain shows you, which is a little bit hard to read, you can see, I traded this coin for this coin and the asset value was this. And then you can say, okay, this trade made money, or this trade didn't make money. Or if I sell this coin when it reaches this point, then I will make money. And all of those capabilities are inside CoinTracking. So you can run gains and losses reports. You can run gains and losses is biggest, but also trade prices can be useful. You can do scenarios. They have a calculator. If you sell so much, you can fill in, if I sell so much Bitcoin, how much gain will I have right now? And it'll tell you that sort of thing. So really handy, useful things so that you can measure things, so that you know if you're doing well. If you're not, if you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're just out there and you're buying DeFi meme coins, but you have no idea how much you spent, you have some sense of it. But as you get farther and farther away from the events, you kind of tend to lose the details, right? And so, for instance, I was trading meme coins probably 2 years ago was when I actually had time to do it. And I know that I was spending $50 here, $50 there, and I know that most of them didn't work out at all. I know the one that did work out ended up being a total horrible project and stole more money from me because I thought it was working, kind of thing. If you don't track, you have no idea what's going on. And that is why I think everyone should be tracking their portfolio in some kind of software. There are some other softwares that you can use. There was a couple we talked about during the challenge that looked pretty interesting, and maybe they can track, I think they can track your blockchain stuff. So if you're only on decentralized exchanges and you're only in the public blockchains and things like that, definitely look into that using an app like that. And I'm sure it's probably even harder to trace your info and all that sort of thing if someone were to come after you. But If you're not doing that, if you're in centralized exchanges and you want to have both sets of data, especially, it would be really useful to use something like CoinTracking and get all your data in, and then wipe the account if you want to, but export everything so that the next time you want to check up on it, like maybe you do it once a month or something, where you import all your data and then you reconcile it, you add the new data, and then you export everything and wipe the account again. But while it's in the account, you can run the various reports, you can run all kinds of things, you can see what you're doing, what you're not doing, and yeah, that's what I think. Okay, so that was kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I hope it made sense. I'm not sure it did. And if you're interested in learning about how to be safer with your crypto, how to invest in projects that actually have a chance of winning, or how to avoid the projects we know are losers, we've started a Facebook group community. It's called Safer Crypto Investing. And we've taken it private in the last couple of weeks because we had so many spammers kind of being obnoxious. But we want it to be a safe place for people to ask questions. We're also posting the biggest headlines of the day in there. I think we've slowed down the feed so it's only 1 post per day, because it was like 4 posts a day and I was like, this is too much. I can't even keep up with this. So it's going to be a good place to ask questions. If you want to get more information, come over to the group, and we'll be definitely keeping everyone updated on the next time we run the blockchain wallet challenge. It was really a successful thing, so we want to do it again. And anytime we're running crypto tax challenge, like get your crypto taxes done, or educational things about crypto taxes, and we want to line up some interviews with people who are either tax experts or crypto investing experts or things like that for the community. And it's just going to be a good place to hang out and kind of build something, a safe place for people to talk about crypto that's not filled with spammers going, oh, buy the latest project over here. So if you're interested in that, look up Safer Crypto Investing and ask to join. And if you're interested in checking out the software that the only one I recommend for tracking my crypto stuff and for also doing my taxes, is CoinTracking, which the link is in the comments. So, check out the account and decide if you want to use it or not. Play around with the reports. There's so many different options. It's really fun. And I think that's probably going to do it for today. So let me know if you have questions. Come visit us in the Safer Crypto Investing group. And until next week, we'll see you around. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Drop a comment with your thoughts or questions and share it with your crypto friends.